Good day everyone. Today, I'll be discussing about the National Museum of the Philippines. So, National Museum of the Philippines. So, when we talk, masud sa tong naon na whenever there is a word yung museum, it is a place or an institution where nag-preserve sila, nag-collect, or pwede sila mag-exhibit sa mga cultural artifacts or anything about nga na historical things. Okay, so the first slide, the National Museum of the Philippines is located in the Legislative Building on P. Burgos Street near Rizal Park. Okay, so it was being located and hinga dool-dool ra siya sa Rizal Park. So if you have time or nakaadto na mag Manila, there is a chance nga nakaadto na mo pero wala mo nakabantay ba or nakalabay na mo. Then the building was originally designed as public library by Ralph Don and Antonio Toledo, but financial pressure caused it to be used by the legislator instead. So the designer or the architect at nga building si Ralph Don and si Antonio Toledo. Pero kay na may, of course, whenever di man dyan maiwasan ang kanang mga problem, so nagka financial pressure, so nagbankrupt mo to nga gihimo na sidyang used by the legislator instead. So legislator katong mga lawmakers ani sila gihimo na sidyang place where katong mga lawmakers adto na sila magkita or adto na himuon nila ang mga different activities nga related ra pod sa about making laws or maadto mag-meeting ang mga legislative officers or officials. Okay, next. It remained as the Congress building until the proclamation of martial law in 1972, with several modifications such as the addition of a fourth floor, a classic central facade, stylized Corinthian columns, and other ornamentation and sculptural work. So it is remained as the Congress building until the proclamation of martial law in 1972 and naapo siya mga nadugang addition of a fourth floor. So ato ang classical central facade na yung mga gipangutang nga stylized Corinthian columns and other ornamentation and sculptural works. Next slide. During the 1950s and 1960s, the Congress halls were lively places where political fortunes changed hands easily, and the atmosphere was often compared to a fish stall in a public market. Siguro sa sobra kasaba, where of course naman dyan in making laws, or if there is a meeting, di man dyan na maiwasan ng yung mga saba-saba or little arguments from different groups or circles nga gakuan mo ng natawag siya nga mura siya og fish stall sa market, diba? Og tayo magsaba-saba tano kay tag muratag na sa merkado. So that time po mo putoy kanang nahitabo po dila nga sobra kasaba mo nang nainang pud nga murag fish stall sa market. Today, the old Congress building serves as the National Museum, the official repository and guardian of the national cultural heritage and natural history. So karon, as years passed, nahimo na siyang official nga National Museum sa ato ang country, and dito na to makita ang mga national cultural heritage and natural history. Okay, so the next slide. The earliest predecessor was the Museum of Ethnology, Natural History and Commerce under the Department of Instruction, created in 1901 by Philippine Commission Act number 284. So, in year 1901, it is the creation of Museum of Ethnology, Natural History and Commerce, and the earliest version of the National Museum was created by Act number 284 under the Department of Instruction. So, kaning time, its job was to study Filipino culture, natural resources, and commercial materials. So, that time in the year 1901. So, later, by the Act number 1541, it was renamed the Bureau of Ethnological Survey under the Department of Interior. So it was being renamed, so napanganan si Jaog rename, so napanganan si Jaog kanang lain. So Act number 1541, so rename as the Bureau of Ethnological Survey. So itong pag-una through the Act of 1919 November 284, but this time the year later nahimo na siyang sa Act, nag-base na po siya sa Act number 1541 where katong na-rename na siya. Later, the museum was moved to the Department of Interior and renamed Bureau of Ethnological Survey. So this shows how the early government wanted to focus on studying Filipino people and cultures. So ato nga, diba sa katong na 1901, ang ato nga its job was to study Filipino culture, natural resources, and commercial materials. So anhi, nag-focus na po siya by studying the Filipino people and its cultures. So, yan na siya. Next, pag 1904, after the 1904 St. Louis Exposition, materials exhibited became part of the museum. So this time, the Philippines joined the St. Louis World's Fair in the United States, and all exhibits about the Philippines from that fair were shipped back and added to the museum collection. So katong ni join ta, and katong mga gipang exhibit nga gipang own or and all exhibits about the Philippine or katong mga things nga nakakuan is gi-add to sa museum collection para madugangan na pud ang historical collection or madugangan ang mga things nga isod sa museum. So this event greatly increased the museum's holding. So there na dapoy benefit adto nga time ang Philippines due to that St. Louis Exposition. Pag 1916, it merged to the Philippine Library and was renamed the Philippine Library and Museum, though no actual transfer of materials took place. So this time, the museum was supposed to merge with the Philippine Library and be renamed Philippine Libraries. However, even though the law changed the name, so no actual transfer of materials took place. So gi-rename si pero why nahitabo nga balhin-balhin sa mga butang tungod kay siguro there are circumstances nga nahitabo at nga time or nay mga di jud wa gitugot sa mo to gi-rename ra pero why mga butang nga gi-transfer. So ayan na. Pag 1928, the National Museum was recreated under the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So this showed, so ano na nga time, makita na po na to nga okay, the government, so na po sila interest about sa science and biodiversity kay DNR naman. And so the DNR, Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources, so nag-focus na po sa environment or may kay under naman siya sa kaninga department. Next, in 1933, it was abolished and its functions divided into 3. So this time, the institution was abolished and its duties were divided into 3 separate divisions. So na ay separation nga nahitabo. And this happened because the government wanted to reorganize agencies. So the government that time wanted to na mga changes sa ilang plano or changes sa reorganize ang kanang agencies. Then pag 1939 pag 1945 Commonwealth Order re-established it under the Department of Agriculture and Commerce. So pag 1945 the Commonwealth government restores it. And after the war, a Commonwealth order restored the museum under the Department of Agriculture and Commerce, showing early efforts to recover and rebuild culture after World War II. So, of course, na may mga na damage. So, na sila ganaha mukuan sila exert sila og effort para maka-recover sa mga damages, and of course rebuild that building para after sa nahitabo sa World War II, kailangan mo bangon and para ma-preserve ang mga cultural artifacts or cultural relics that time. Then pag 1947, Executive Order number 94 merged it with the Division of Arts and History, forming the present National Museum under the Executive Secretary. So this is a big turning point because it reunited natural history and arts into one institution valid through this executive order na unity nga nahitabo. Next, 1951, Executive Order number 392 transferred it to the Department of Education. So daghan og kanang gipasa-pasa ni siya nga kanang nga building, and with that the Department of Education, so the museum became more focused on teaching and research. So gipaubaya na sa kanang, di ba, sa kanang to from DNR naabot siya sa DNR, nahimo na pong kuan, then karon na napod siya sa department or the DepEd, and siguro ang focus is to become more focused on teaching and research. Then 1973, it was under the Ministry of Education and Culture. The museum now became part of the newly formed Ministry of Education and Culture during the martial law era. So this time, this happens during the martial law era. Then, pag 1979, it moved to the old Congress building, continuing its educational, scientific, and cultural activities. So this time, finally, the museum was transferred to the old Congress building where it remains today. So, gibalhin na siya sa kanang present karong National Museum. By this time, the museum resumed its educational, scientific, and cultural activities, marking the start of the National Museum as we know it today. So, daghan pang mga gipang-agian until nga nahimo na jud siya nga National Museum, ug nahilo na ra jud after many years of kanang pasapasa. Next, the Anthropology Division displays cultural materials of the Taot Bato of Palawan, artifacts from Paleolithic and Neolithic sites in Cagayan Valley and Palawan, the Tabon Man fossil remains, and the Balanghay boat from Butuan, Agusan. So, ang kaning Anthropology Division focuses on human culture. As we all know, nakatang kay focuses on human culture tungod kay cultural materials of the Taot Bato of Palawan. So Paleolithic and Neolithic area katong Tabon Man katong lesson pag prelim katong mga Tabon Man. So katong mga artifacts adto mga fossil gi-preserve sa National Museum of the Philippines. Adto na to pakitaan nga okay mo din evidence nga this is the oldest human sa kanang Filipino or the Tabon Man mo sila. And also from Cagayan Valley and Palawan, Tabon Man fossil remains one of the oldest human fossil. Next, the Arts Division. So there are two man division, the Anthropology Division and the Arts Division. So kaning mga Arts Division katong na ni sila mga paintings, mga things na ni sila or mga artifacts, and includes old coins, diba? Of course, di kanang piso na to ron is di na siya mo may piso sa una. So nato sila nakita ko sa kanang coin, pero kanang coin sa una, pero nakalimot ako sa pero nakakan ko nga okay mo lahi day ang coin nila sa una ug karon. And adto na to makita nga unsay pinaka oldest or unsay pinakauna nga old coin nga gigamit sa Philippines. Next is medals, amulets, badges, historical relics like swords, sabers, instruments of surrender, and Dr. Hazardous sculptures such as the Mother's Revenge. So, at itong mga arts division, it is mga things, or yes, mga things, historical things, artifacts nga makita or gibuhat sa human. Next is, it also has paintings by Juan Luna, Felix R. Hidalgo, Fabian de la Rosa, Fernando Marzola, and Cesar Legaspi. So, walo na katong spoliarium. Ito nga culture artworks, and you can daghan pa kag makitaan adto sa National Museum once nga mo visit ka adto nga anha. And that's all for today. I hope you learned something from my discussion. Thank you and have a great day.